So, in the co-writing side of things, what is your most memorable co-write that you've ever had, and why? Because I get a lot of, oh, you co-wrote with so and so, and it's never the one that they think it is. You know, it's always something a little bit different when I answer. But what's your most memorable and why?
Well, I think I would have to say it's writing with Guy Clark.
Oh yeah,
Um, Even though, he was just as nice as could be to me and totally generous,
yeah,
he never had anything to gain from getting me out there in Nashville. And I was, just so in awe of him as a writer. It took me years to actually ask him if he would write with me. And and finally, I just ran into him at the vegetable aisle at Kroger one day, and it popped out of my mouth before I could stop it. Hey, you like to write a song sometime together? He's like, sure. Give me a call. We'll set something up.
I
And
can I can just imagine if it were me, the voices that are screaming at you as it fell out in the in the back of my. That's the way it would have worked with me anyway. But what did you just say? But that's awesome.
stop.
Oh my gosh.
Mouth,
So
what are you doing?
yeah,
So yeah, the first time I got there, I came over to Guy's house, and he liked to write in his workshop downstairs in the basement where he also built guitars. So,
yeah,
he's got this old plank table there that he made. And he's sitting on one side rolling cigarettes, and I'm sitting on the other side, like, oh my God, I'm really here. There's all these beautiful guitars, some of them finished, some of them still, in process around me on the walls, and, a bunch of tools on the bench behind me, and guys rolling a cigarette. And I'm starting to get really nervous. And I look around, there's a picture of Townes Van Zandt up on the wall.
yeah.
And Townes is just kind of glaring down at me like, well, you're here, kid. Don't mess it up.
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
oh man. And guy looks up from rolling his cigarette and he says, hey, you want some tequila? I'm like, yes, I do.
Absolutely.
And everything was fine after that.
Oh my lands, man. So,
Yeah,
did you end up with a tune that day? And if so, do you recall it?
we did. Well, it's funny. We got to the end of the day. I had the day before just, wanting to have something. I had gone where I live. You can walk across the street, and there's a creek down there, and I just went down there to sit and think a little bit,
Cool.
and I just started writing down some impressions of that. Um, oh, you know what? I'm taking. That's the second song we wrote.
Oh,
The
cool.
first one we wrote. Um, Yeah, it was just the night before, and I was like, I gotta have something. And I'm laying in bed, starting to fall asleep, and I just started writing down about what was happening right then and there. So it's dark in the room, and the house is quiet. I'm listening, to whatever sounds are around, and
Wow.
just that's how desperate I was, right? Uh, so I brought that out to him. I brought out those little images that I had written,
Yeah.
4 or 5 lines or something, and he's like, "Oh, that's interesting." So we had that, and we just started riffing on the dark. That's what our song was going to be, the dark.
Okay.
And guy throwing ideas out there. What is it? What does the dark mean? What comes up when you think of the dark? And um, so we just started stringing all these images and ideas together. We didn't have a strict form yet or anything.
Yeah.
And I had these chords that I'd just been kind of playing through, but we didn't even have a melody or anything yet. So I we got to the end of the day, and we had a paper full of words, but it wasn't really in a song form yet. So
Gotcha.
I thought, and I had some chords, but no melody to sing with those words. So we got to the end of the day, and we are both getting kind of tired. And Guy said, "Well, I'll tell you what, just play those chords and read what's on the page there, and I'll just record it. So we'll have a record of what we've done so far.
Cool.
And so I did, and we listened back to the recording, and we both looked at each other. It's like, I think we're done here. And it's like the song was there. We just hadn't admitted it yet. And
That's so cool.
but listening back to it, it just really worked that way. And Guy did do a little bit of editing on it later on, but he ended up recording it on his a record called The Dark.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, if you want, I can play that one for you here.
Dude, that would be awesome. Would you please? That is incredible.
Sure. In the dark, you can sometimes hear your own heartbeat, or the heart of the one next to you. The house settles down after holding itself up all day. Shoulders slump and gives a big sigh. And you hear no one's footfall in the hall. The drip in the kitchen sink marking time. June bug on the window screen. He can't get in, but he keeps trying. One way or another, we're all in the dark. Fireflies, sparks, lightning, stars, campfires, the moon, headlights on cars, the northern lights, the Milky Way. You can't see that stuff in the day. When the earth turns its back on the sun, the stars all come out, the planets start to run around. Well, they call that day is done. But really, it's just getting started. Some folks take comfort in that. How dark is it? It's too dark for goblins. How dark is it? It's so dark you can smell the moon. And how dark is it? It's so dark the wind gets lost. And how dark is it? It's so dark the sky's on fire. And how dark is it? It's so dark you can see Fort Worth from here.
Absolutely awesome. Wow. And that's the first song that you wrote with Guy Clark.
Yeah, that was it.